Hello, farmers, and welcome back to Farming Simulator 25. So, yesterday we saw the gameplay trailer that Giants released, and that is currently what you are seeing in the background now as we speak. But we definitely saw some interesting things in that video for sure. The main thing being tornadoes, twisters, cyclones, whatever you call them, where you're from. But today we have more information on that, being weather change, twisters, and hail with a chance of fog preview. So, I'll go ahead and read the blog, and then we'll go back and maybe try to read between the lines on a few things, or maybe some things are just going to be pretty plain and simple. But let's go ahead and see what Giants has to say about the weather change. In Riverbend Springs and multiple other locations around the world, the weather is predicted to change more often. As we look at darkening clouds in the sky, listening to the wind, the farmers closing in, one can notice clear signs that some weather is on the way. An August summer night, local farmers and residents are encouraged to take general precautions, but first, learn more in the following weather report. And don't forget to pre-order Farming Simulator 25 coming November 12th. And that does remind me, if you want to pre-order the game, or if you want to order any previous versions of Farming Simulator, or DLCs, what have you, there'll be a link in the description below where you can use my promo code, which helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it if you decide to do so. But let's move ahead here. A twister's in the air, farmers feel it everywhere. On a glory night where the children of tomorrow dream away, farmers might notice the winds of change. We're expecting a light twister to touch down in a few areas. It shouldn't be anything too severe, but it's always wise to take precautions and secure any unroofed bales, just in case. Some hail is also predicted to hit. The good news is, after these brief disturbances, the skies will clear up, and we'll see the sun shining brightly once again. This weather event will pass, and we'll be back to calm and sunny conditions before you know it. Once the storm passes, local farmers are advised to inspect their fields for any destruction and assess the impact on their crops. While twister fans may observe the weather spectacle from a safe distance, farmers cannot afford to be careless, as all weather events bear the potential to destroy a portion of crops. In Riverbend Springs, we caught up with a newfound farmer, David. When all other farmers were running around doing stuff to prepare, I did not think very much of it. I'm pretty new to all this, you know. Having learned his lesson, the former white-collar worker lost about half of his crops on a rather tiny plot, and all of his bales left out in the open. Even my shed got damaged, he added, looking rather sad while proclaiming that Mother Nature added insult to injury. Relative to way bigger field sizes, other farmers got off lightly in comparison. Meanwhile, the local lumberjack and forester of Riverbend Springs was not available for comment while tending to dead trees that were affected by the storm. Some of us carry out essential duties. I must insist you grant me solitude while I attend to my fallen companions, he said in a grumpy tone before adding, I observed your cameraman indulging in refreshments. I strongly suggest you refrain from littering in the forest as you depart. Instead, we got hold of retired farmer Walter, who shared his perspective on the recent weather changes. Good weather always follows bad weather, sooner or later, said the 72-year-old farmer, reflecting on the shifting conditions. Don't know where all that thick fog suddenly comes from, though. Probably brought in with the wind of change. When asked if he had any more farming wisdom to impact about the weather, Walter had a classic reply, let's take a rain check. We'll be revisiting Riverbend Springs in November to see how the weather has impacted the local farming community. Maybe you want to visit yourself and ask the locals some questions. So now let's go back in the blog that I just read and see if we can read between the lines on a few things. The first thing in the blog I noticed, it says, on an August summer night, local farmers and residents are encouraged to take general precautions. So I'm wondering, are these special events only going to happen in the month of August? Kind of interesting, but yeah, why just say August, not to say on a summer's night or, whatever. But they said August, so maybe the events will only happen in August. Not too sure, but kind of interesting. Another thing, as what we saw in the blog, but it's always wise to take precautions and secure any unroofed bales just in case. So I guess if your bales are out in the field or just not in a shed, that the bales are going to maybe completely disappear? Will it shred the bale and the straw or grass, hay, whatever? Does it get spread out in the field and you have to go around with like a forage wagon or a baler and rebale it? Or does it pick up the whole bale and just relocate it on the map? So you could be going like on the opposite side of the map and just have a straw bale in the middle of the road or another field that's 1 year bales and you can go pick it up. I'm not too sure about that, but it does sound kind of interesting. But make sure that your bales are in a shed. But that also brings us to what they said at the end of the blog. I'm going to jump around a little bit here. When they were talking to the farmer, which farmer was it here? Let me scroll back up at the blog. David, the 36-year-old farmer, when it said, even my shed got damaged. So, sounds like our sheds will get damaged as well, as long as we saw in the trailer yesterday that trees and crops will. So, can we repair the shed, or are we got to buy a whole new shed for it? Also, if the shed gets damaged, is anything in the shed going to get damaged as well? So maybe if you have like your tractor in there, and let's just say your tractor is fully repaired, if the shed gets damaged, can your tractor get maybe like half damage or quarter damage? Don't know, but does seem kind of interesting. Also, with the hail that hopefully I'm showing the little bit of a clip that they sent, we can see hail bouncing up and down on the asphalt, so it does look pretty good there. And by the looks of things in the picture right after that they sent in the blog, I think hail's going to damage the crops also. So that is kind of interesting. If this is going to be the case for damaging crops, a thought came to me overnight on the twisters damaging crops and now hail damaging crops. I wonder if we're going to be able to buy insurance for our fields. So if, let's just say you look at the weather and the weather looks fine, you don't buy insurance. You look at the weather coming up for quote unquote August and you see, like rain in the forecast. Well, you may want to buy insurance on the field. So maybe let's say the crop is worth $100,000. Maybe if you buy, maybe the insurance can cost like $10,000. And that way, if your crop gets destroyed, you get the $100,000 or maybe whatever crop you lost. Not sure, but that could be rather interesting. Another thing I did notice, and it does seem kind of a weird thing for them to say when they were talking to the forester or the ranger, whatever you want to call them, they were talking about that they saw that the cameraman was enjoying some refreshments. Maybe they shouldn't be littering in the forest. Kind of interesting for them to say that. Are we going to have to clean up the forest from all the litter after like a tornado goes through? Will there be like debris from our sheds or small implements? Do we have to go in the forest and find our equipment? Don't know. Also, in the blog, it says they were talking to two farmers, a young farmer and an old farmer. There has been talk about NPCs in Farming Simulator 25 to where we can go up and talk to NPCs and have conversations with them. Who knows? Maybe even do like contracts for them, or just general information. Maybe they'll be telling us like, oh, there's weather on the way. Maybe some little things like that. So a little bit more information about the weather changes, and now we know there's hail coming as well. It does say that the tornadoes are kind of localized as well, so it sounds like it's going to go through the entire map, I guess. Maybe we'll get some more information in the next coming days with Gamescom going on, but also going through until the game does get released. And just want to say, just once again, if you decide that you want to pre-purchase Farming Simulator 25, or as in any games for Farming Simulator 22, DLCs, year passes, even all the way back to FS19, there'll be a link in the description below where you can use my promo code that helps out my channel. And I greatly appreciate it if you decide to do so. But anyways, that is what we have for us today on the blog for weather change, twisters, and hail with a chance of fog preview. And hopefully while I've been talking here near the end, I've been putting up some pictures that they released in the blog. But that is going to do it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I do appreciate you watching as always. And if you like what you saw, don't forget to hit that like button. And while you're down there, if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button as well. But I'll catch you again for more information for Farming Simulator 25. But until then, Have a good one.